Fossora by Björk. It is 13 songs, 40 or 54 minutes long, I should say. Björk being one of my absolute favorite singer-songwriters. She just is a legend. Coming from the Sugar Cubes group in the 80s and then branching off doing her own solo projects in the early 90s and just influencing my music tastes a ton when I was growing up as a kid. I remember being exposed to Post when I was young, her debut record, self-titled, and then you had I forget her third record, which is fantastic. But anyways, absolutely one of my favorite artists, and we reviewed her, I think, 2019 or 2017 album, Utopia, which was the infamous Carcast, I believe. And that was an interesting record. I think it was overall we both enjoyed it, but there's some sounds and stuff and ideas in there that I wanted to kind of branch out a little bit, and some other things that I think she could have pushed out. It felt a little long and bloated with it, and especially with her pedigree of an artist, I was like, all right, you know what, she gets a pass. But with Fossora, she gets back to her real game of being avant-garde, making really weird sounds that you will never hear anywhere else. And her voice is the best I've heard it in a decade, I think, since Vona Corda, that came out in 2016. And it was interesting because she made this record losing a parent and in the aftermath of COVID and everything. So there's a lot of emotion in this. There's a lot of paying homage to her homeland in Iceland. So you have some tracks here that are in Icelandic. I'm not even going to remotely try to pronounce them because that would be a travesty. And then there's even a track here that I'll get to at the last track, I believe, is with their daughter, which is really, really cool to hear. But going into it, you have the opening track of Atopos, and you get that real avant-garde Björk sound where it's just, you have a really, really cool beat with the drums and everything. You have these really odd setting keyboards in the background that are off key. So it's making you want to feel uncomfortable with it, but you know how beautiful her voice is and the rest of the sound is. So it's this interesting mix of kind of pulling and pushing you into the track and out of it, into it and out of it. And it's this really cool dance that you get. And you get that a lot in the record where she's messing with a lot of keyboard sounds that if you're not into avant-garde experimental weird music, you might not really like or might not get into it. But with how she mixes it, I really like it. Example, second track, Ovule, is similar to that too, where you get that push-pull, but it's a little bit slowed down, and she gets a little bit more sentimental into it. And again, her voice is just incredible with this.
Yeah, I liked a lot of it as well. I'm going to pull a Sean and just skip to the very end. I really like Fossora because it kind of mixes the title track at the second to last song. I also like doing a second to last song kind of, title track homage. I think that's a really solid move because you really get the ideas and that really allows it to be the crescendo of the record. But Fossora becomes this ambient thing with a lot of vocals that really sums up a lot of the sounds of the record. And then slowly becomes this new wave, and I mean new 2022 style techno track. Very, very modern techno track, and it's very, very pumping Euro techno, really, really good, very enjoyable, even for people who aren't even into that kind of techno. I think it would have a lot of appeal to them as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's for an artist that's been around for so long, she's still pushing it forward. She's still making sounds and doing things that no one else does. Yeah, that was one of the tracks I really want to talk to since we're on about it. Fossora, it is an amazing track. The pivots that you get in there, that little techno you get, just the way she layers her voice in the background, and then at the end she layers it again and uses it as a sample, uses it as a beat almost, and then just goes absolute chaotic, and then she comes back over in the background with her voice too, and it's just amazing. It's just, again, always staying 2 steps ahead of everybody, and I love that with her. And it's nice to hear her try to push it forward. I was worried again with her previous record to see how that sounded, and it's kind of a little too slow for me, and I wanted more of this avant-garde experimentalness we've been getting from her for decades, and you get that again with this. Kind of going back to more of the beginning of the record, you get this beautiful track. The fourth one, Sorrowful Soil, that is just hauntingly beautiful. And it's her at her best, where it's just, just vocals going on and just a really, really small beat that kind of goes through the bass, but it's all just, and that's her in a choir. And I don't know if it's her layering her voice or doing it with other people. I have to look at the production credits for that. You get to longer tracks in the middle of Ancestress and Victimhood, and you have that little Icelandic interlude. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, because good luck.
I don't even want to pronounce it, because that'll just sound bad.
Exactly. And just, again, like this record, it plays through very well. It has that really off-kilter beat that you get in Victimhood, where she's messing around with these electronic keyboards, along with this really nice beat that you get throughout this track, and it's just pushing and pulling you away and into the track, away and into the track.
Yeah, really up tempo, really nice, kind of out. Like really, it's very orchestral in that way, where it has like ins and offs, and it's not necessarily patterned in a normal structure of a song. It's just
absolutely
like I will say, like, I do. It's 2022. There's a lot of modern decisions in here. I do think 54 minutes is kind of long. The longer songs are in the beginning with that like Ancestress Victimhood double switch, but that's definitely around the part in the album where I was like, Jesus, this is very long. And I wonder if, like, for an album version, there could be an album version, then these songs could obviously be like drawn out longer. But like, I do feel like there are some things where if you are coming newer to this, it will be harder to get into, because it is so long and ambient and a little bit out there. But I think it is fairly approachable for a Björk record, considering all the Björk works that are out there.
I think this is one of her most approachable records in years.
And it's very like, it's very, surprisingly, may or may not be the right word, but it is very modern. It's very in tune with what is happening in music right now, to a surprising degree, especially the electronic music and some of the latter half of the album.
Yes. That's what I really appreciate about it. So overall, it's a fantastic record from her. I think it's a return to form, return to her queenhood, really, of being the queen of just experimental indie weirdness and always staying true to yourself as an artist. She doesn't care. She is who she is, and she's always been that way throughout her life. And I love that and appreciate about her. And Fossora is just fantastic work. One of my favorite projects in a while from her. So I'm excited. I'm trying to see if I could see her on tour when she tours this record, because that would be fun as hell and trippy and weird. So one day.
Pain. Financial pain.
Financial pain, dude, kill me. So much to see, so little money that I have.
Let's see. Arbitrary scale. We do arbitrary scales every week on Audioface, because our review is our review. We said what we feel about it, so rather than just give you an actual comparison, we will give you a random comparison. We'll just run with it. This is going to be Hurricane Michael in Panama Beach, Florida, when Jim Cantori was covering that in 2018, and to dodge a piece of lumber that's just like flying towards him.
This is him getting trolled for Hurricane Ida, when he was like had a little baseball helmet on, and he was like bracing for the wind, and a dude behind him just straight up does a cartwheel in the background to troll him, saying the wind isn't that bad, dude.
Honorable mention to in 2014, when Cantori was charged by a student who was about to try to get on camera, and then he promptly kneed him in the groin and continued his broadcast without flinching.
Yes. Go off, Kane.
Stomp them in the nuts. Stomp them in the nuts. Stomp them in the nuts. And back to you in Atlanta.
Beautiful.